All right, folks, you were watching Downshift Pass. My name is Chad, and I thank you for checking out another one of my reviews. Now, if you are new here, welcome. If you are not new here, I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. And guys, let's go ahead and hop into today's review. Today, we're going to be taking a look at this Infiniti Q60 Red Sport 400 all-wheel drive. All right, folks, and let's talk Q60 Red Sport 400 with all-wheel drive. Now, this is Infiniti's sport luxury coupe that they introduced a few years ago. This one focuses a lot more on the performance aspect of the Q60. So you have 100 additional horsepower to this car, along with a lot of other goodies, performance-related goodies that really create a dynamic driving machine. I love driving this car. But let's go ahead and hop right into this review here. Let's talk about the styling a little bit. Now, this is absolutely one of Infiniti's best designs that I can remember in recent years. Probably my favorite since the original Infiniti FX. It's very swoopy, very curvy, but it all comes together beautifully. Now, up front, you do have LED headlights as well as LED fog lights, LED turn signals, LED bright lights. Everything is just LED up here. You have a nice large Infiniti badge. Now, this car is missing a few key features, I believe, especially for its price point. So you're not going to have any parking sensors up here, no self-driving nannies or anything like that. But again, they're focusing on more the performance aspect of this car than the technology, which we'll talk about a little bit more, especially when we get inside. And coming along the side here, I think this is when you can finally tell that you're looking at something special other than your regular run-of-the-mill Infiniti Q60. Now, this one does have unique 20-inch rims. They're sitting on 255/35 series tires, and I think they look really good. They're a dark graphite gray color. You do have your red brake calipers as well. Now, with the Q60 Red Sport, you are going to have larger brakes as well as larger brake calipers. You also have a nice little air vent here, and this is where you finally get your badging. You see the 3.0T badging, and that additional S is letting you know that you're looking at something a little bit more special. On the rearview mirror, you do have your turn signal, and then you have this kink in the back window here, which looks really good. Something to kind of differentiate this from your typical sport coupes that you see on the road. And moving along to the back here, guys, this is my absolute favorite part of this car. It's just such a sexy looking vehicle. Of course, you have your LED tail lights as well as your LED turn signal. Nice badging back here to kind of give you an indication that something special might be under the hood. Taking a look at that S, of course, your all-wheel drive badging. And then coming along the bottom, you do have exhaust tips that are exclusive to the Red Sport 400. And this being an Infiniti 3-liter engine, twin turbocharged, 400 horsepower. The sounds that it makes, oh my gosh. Let me let you take a listen. Man, oh man, color me impressed. If you guys really enjoyed that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. If you loved it, go ahead and hit that like button as well. It'll help the channel, and I greatly appreciate it. But guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the trunk, under the hood, and then we'll go ahead and step inside. All right, coming along the trunk here, guys, you do have a nice little button you can push to pop the trunk. Opens right up with the key in your pocket. Now, Infiniti says this car has 8.6 cubic feet of space, which is very similar to other cars in its class, its competition, the Lexus RCF, the BMW 4 Series, all pretty much the same. The rear seats do fold down. You do have a nice little loop here. You just pull on this and you push them down. And then of course under here you have all your spare tire equipment. Pretty nice size trunk. All right, folks, now before we hop in, of course, I always want to show you the key. You are probably very familiar with this key if you've ever been in any Nissan product, any Infiniti product. Their standard key that they've been using for years. Time to update this Infiniti, but you do have your standard buttons, lock, unlock, as well as your trunk button and a panic button. And then up top, you do have a remote start button. Now to use the remote start, you just press the lock button and then press and hold the remote start button for a few seconds. Then, that was perfect timing. I'm sorry, I wasn't even expecting that. But the car just roars to life. Now, if you want to cut it off, you just press and hold the button again, cuts right off for you. Now, with the key in your pocket, all you do is walk up to the car, hand on the handle, and it'll unlock for you. If you need to lock it, you do have this button here. You just press on that and it'll lock right up. But let's go ahead and hop into the interior of the Q60. All right, guys, and as we step into the car here, you do have this nice satin finish door sill with a lit Infiniti gauge. So that's a really nice, luxurious touch. And as we step into the car, of course, this car does have push button start. So with your foot on the brake, you do have your start button right to the right. Push it, car roars to life. Have a nice sweeping gauge action there. All your screens pop up here. Infiniti InTouch is what they call this bottom screen. And the first thing that I noticed when I stepped in was just the really nice materials that they use in this car. Even on this door here, the top is a soft touch material. Down in the middle of the door is also soft touch. On the handles, soft touch, all leather, all nicely stitched. And then down below it is a hard plastic, but that's really to be expected in any vehicle. So of course you do have your driver and passenger one-touch automatic up and down windows. This does have two-person memory seat as well. And of course the seats are power. You have 8-way adjustment on both the driver and the passenger side. Now coming along to the middle here, take a look at these gauges. I love how they have the little design on it. It almost looks like a turbocharger, kind of sorta. And twin turbo, I don't know if that has something to do with it, but you know, for fun, I'm gonna tell myself that it does. And of course, this middle screen does move here. As you go through the actions, it shows you your compass, your radio presets, your tire pressure, engine oil, any warnings that you may have, the range of the vehicle, average speed, fuel economy, all your typical items are going to be in there. Now that is controlled on the steering wheel. On the right hand side is where you control the menu as well as your cruise control. On the left hand side is going to be for your audio control as well as your Bluetooth control. Now, speaking of audio, this car does have the Bose Performance Series audio setup. It's going to be 13 speakers in this system, 2 channels, and it sounds pretty good. So of course, I'm going to do an audio test for you, so make sure you do stick around for that. Now, as we come along to the middle here, I do want to focus on this nice carbon fiber look. It is a faux carbon fiber, but it has a purplish color along with the gray and the black that you get with carbon fiber. Has a purplish hue to it, and I think that looks really neat. It's very Infiniti-esque. They have that purple in the gauges as well. So kind of a nice touch that they decided to add. Now, as we come along to the middle section here now, looks like a lot, right? You have your 2 8-inch screens. Now, it looks a little confusing, but let me break it down for you. Your top screen is going to be mostly navigation. You also have some phone controls in there, but very limited phone controls. So it is touch screen. So you can touch on it. You can do whatever you have to do up here if you prefer, or you do have a nice little knob down here if you want to control. You just can twist this, push on it, and then you have your 3 buttons for the map, back, as well as your dimmer switch. So it looks a little confusing, but it's really simple to use. Coming along down to this screen, now the middle screen is where all your main controls are going to be. This is where you set up your phone, any vehicle information, the InTouch services, which is essentially like an OnStar system. If your car gets stolen, if you need to contact somebody, if you get into a car accident, you could press that right there and they will be in touch with you. One thing I think is really neat is you have blank screens, which is really random. kind of like using your phone, so you can add whatever you want onto those blank screens. And then you'll notice here it says Infiniti Drive Mode Selector. So let's talk about that for a little bit. This drive mode button here is how you control your different suspension setups. So right now the car is in standard mode. You can switch it to sport, sport plus, or your own personal mode. Now, one really neat thing about this is this does have Infiniti's adaptive suspension. So if you put it into the sport and sport plus mode, it does sturdy up the suspension a lot. Now it's not unbearable. On the highway you can definitely tell that it's a little bit more stiff, but it's not completely uncomfortable. Remember, this is more of a grand tour than sports car, at least in my opinion. So you know, they still want to make it pretty comfortable. If you put it in your standard setting, which will be comfort mode, everything is more subdued. The suspension is a lot softer. This exhaust is not going to be as loud, and it's all controlled through this button here. Now, if you want to put it in your personal mode, that's when this drive selector comes in. So you can actually change your engine and transmission to Snow Eco Sport. You can change the steering, suspension, active trace control, which I looked up and I'm totally not sure what it is, so I'll let you guys look it up and let me know what it is in the comments. If you do, you know, feel free. And then coming along the bottom here is where your radio controls are. On the side you do have your climate control buttons, and it's missing one key thing here, and that is an AC button, which I absolutely don't understand why car companies do that. You got all these buttons here, why not have the AC button? Now, if you do need to turn your AC on, you could just press the climate button here, and then that's where you control your AC button, as well as the heated steering wheel, and you do have heated seats, which are automatic as well. Coming along to the transmission gear selector, it's your standard PRND. You can swipe it over to go into manual mode. If you leave it in drive, you do have your paddle shifters here that you can use, plus on one side, minus on the other. And if we stick it into reverse, of course you do have your reverse camera. Does have trajectory. It does not have a good resolution. I think it looks really dated, so they do need to update that. And one thing I feel like you'll notice about this car is a lot of things need to be updated. Beautiful engine, beautiful sound, amazing styling. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. But this interior is kind of hard to call it acceptable at this price point. Now, moving along down, you do have your 2 cup holders, as well as a small storage space. And along the side here, you do have a glove compartment, which is lined with felt as well as damped, which is really nice. But you really don't have a lot of storage space in this car as well. If I had 2 cups here, I would really have nowhere to put my phone, maybe in the door pocket over there, or you just don't have a lot of space for that. So that's one thing you would want to consider if you are considering this car. Along the roof here, of course, you do have your one-touch sunroof, one-touch open, close, as well as tilt. And then you do have your back seats, which is strictly just for kids. I'm not going to even hop back there and try it. No features back there, no heated seats or anything crazy like that. Just a back seat if you're in a pinch. Now, speaking of these front seats here, they are absolutely comfortable. I mean, I really love them. They keep you bolstered in really nicely. Now, if you're a bigger person, they might be a little uncomfortable, so make sure you do try that out if you're thinking about buying this car. Otherwise, when you really get on this car, know that you're going to be held in place by these seats. They're amazing. And you know I love a heated seat. Heated seat is a-okay with me. All right, guys, so that's pretty much for the interior. Ready for my favorite part. Let's get into this drive. All right, folks, setting out in the 2018 Infiniti Q60 Red Sport 400 all-wheel drive. Woo. Totally a mouthful to say, but man, oh man, this car is impressive. Now, when Infiniti introduced the Q60, it definitely came with a twin-turbo V6 engine, producing about 300 horsepower. But with the competition out there, such as the Lexus RCF, you have the BMW, the M340i, Infiniti knew they had to step it up just a little bit to remain competitive. So they introduced this Red Sport 400. Now, again, with this larger engine, it's 100 more horsepower, 400 horsepower to be exact, 350 pound-feet of torque. Infiniti says this car will go 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. I'm not gonna lie, it feels a little bit quicker than that, but you know, the Japanese are known to underrate their numbers as well as their performance figures. This might be one of the cars that they did it in. Now, handling prowess of this car is absolutely phenomenal. Check this out. Now again, this is an all-wheel drive version. Definitely the way I would spec mine out. You know, 400 horsepower and rear-wheel drive would absolutely be fun. Who wouldn't love that? But with all-wheel drive, it's Infiniti's intelligent all-wheel drive, so it's a rear-wheel drive bias system. Once it detects some front wheel slippage, it'll go ahead and connect those front wheels as well. But it's just that additional safety and additional traction that you can get, especially when you step on it from a standstill. Now, this car has no problems getting up. Its 7-speed transmission is super responsive, almost feels and behaves like a dual clutch transmission, but it's not. And I'm so glad that Infiniti decided to keep the CVT out of this transmission. All right, we're gonna get it onto the highway here and see how it behaves. Now, I do have the car in its what's called standard setting, which essentially would be your comfort mode in any other vehicle. And what that is going to do is make the suspension less stiff. It's going to make the transmission not respond as sharply. It's still sharp, but just not as sharply. And it's going to tighten up the steering wheel, the throttle feel, all your standard stuff that most drive modes do. The reason I love this on the highway is because I feel like that's what this car is. It's more of a GT cruiser than a hardcore sports car. It just has that power, that raw grunt when you actually need it. Now, with this being a two-door car, you still have really good sight lines. I do wish the seat kind of went down a little bit lower. I have the driver's seat in its lowest setting, and I still feel like I'm sitting a little too high up for my liking. But I'm sure the demographic of this car, you know, they're not looking for sitting on the ground, I guess. One thing I will ding this car for is the blind spot over your left shoulder is horrendous. I mean, you literally leaning forward and looking in the mirror is what you're going to have to do to make sure that you're getting over safely. Believe it or not, this car is missing a lot of features. One major feature is a blind spot monitoring system. It doesn't have a blind spot monitoring system. It doesn't have any type of parking assist. Now, this is a 2018, but at time of recording, this car is 2 years old. So it's missing a lot of features that you would definitely get on your German rivals and the other Japanese rivals, such as the Lexus RCF, your 3 Series, C-Class Coupe. You're going to get all those features, but this is actually missing that. They definitely wanted to make this more of a pure driver's car, and that's what it is. All right, so we're just going to switch it into the Sport Plus mode and feel everything tighten up. You feel the steering wheel immediately get a little bit tighter, and the suspension kind of gets a little bit harder. I hope it's not too shaky on camera, but again, it's nothing that is absolutely uncomfortable. It's just a little bit more stiff for you when you want to get that spirited driving in. All right, again, Infiniti says this car will do 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. Now, there is no official launch control or anything. You just foot on the brake and gas the throttle. Oh man, that never ever gets old. Definitely feels like a 4-second car to me, and the noises that the sound that it makes, you know, that comes into the cabin. I have to calm myself down so I can start talking in coherent sentences again. It just really almost takes your breath away. Definitely pins you in the back of the seat. This car was definitely made for speed and power and putting it down and handling it. It just feels really good. No wheel spin at all with the all-wheel drive system. I think that's one of the better parts. Let's go ahead and try that one more time. You know what, this time I'm going to brake torque it. Goodness gracious. Oh man, this car will definitely keep you smiling. Now, that was all done in Sport Plus mode. Brake torquing it, makes it feel slightly different. It's not going to be anything that I feel like you have to do or you would feel the need to absolutely do to get better performance out of it. This car is going to perform regardless. All right, folks, so of course it wouldn't be a downshift pass review without taking a listen to the audio system. Now let me go ahead and put the car back into its standard mode so we can relax a little bit and relate a little bit. Now this car does have the Bose audio system. Again, 13 speakers in this system, and I think it sounds pretty good, but I'm going to let you guys listen to it and let me know what you think in the comments of the stereo. I love doing it while we're on the highway, so you can get an idea if you're on a road trip. You know, music is really important on a road trip, so see what it sounds like. So let's go ahead and give it a go. So there is the Bose upgraded audio system in the Infiniti Q60. My biggest gripe about this audio system is the control levels that you have. So you have bass, treble, balance, and fader. And I mean, that's it. You know, it's like a 90s Honda Accord or something like that. No mid-range control, no different type of equalizer control, no equalizer settings. And I mean, in a car that's over $60,000 new, that's to be expected. So again, as much as I really adore this vehicle, the drive of this vehicle, really, which is what it's about, it's just lacking a couple of different features that you would expect at this price point. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments. How did that audio system sound to you? Do you think you would splurge for the upgraded audio system, or would you go aftermarket or do it on your own? All right, guys, and just rolling into my final thoughts on the Infiniti Q60 Red Sport 400 all-wheel drive. I really like this car. Now, when you think about the competition and the company that this car is in, again, you have your Lexus RCF. The BMW M340 would probably be the two biggest competitors in my opinion. Then you really start to notice that this car is lacking just a few things, especially in the feature department. Now, this is a $60,000 car and we're missing cooled seats. We're missing any type of self-driving features. We're missing parking sensors. It's those missed opportunities that I think Infiniti should have focused a little bit more on than focusing on just the performance of the car. Now, having that additional 100 horsepower is definitely not a bad thing. I think I'll show you why when this light turned green. And that was just through first gear. So of course that's lovely. That's something that you'll get used to. But I think what this car is purpose built for is to be more of a GT style car. So you're gonna want those GT style features. But other than that, this is really an amazing car. It's an amazing bargain, especially on the used car market. So if you are in the market, I definitely recommend it. It gets 2 thumbs up for me. Good job, Infiniti, on really building a performance car, a beautiful car, dare I say stunning looking vehicle. So they get their kudos for me. But that's all I have here for you guys. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. If you could hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell if you appreciated this video or enjoyed any aspect of it. Definitely helps the algorithm of the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye-bye.